Hello, everyone watching on YouTube and listening on Spotify. It's another episode of NRG Insights. For those that don't know, this is where we interview people across the mortgage industry, whether that be lending or broking, influential people, some people with something interesting to say, and people that can add some valuable insights, hence the name of the podcast, into the industry. So today I've got Michael Street from Word on the Street. Thanks for joining me, Michael.
My pleasure, and just following on from what you've just said, I do hope I have something interesting to say.
No pressure, I've just told everyone that's what you're doing. So let's just start with, as we always do, let's just tell everyone about your financial services journey and where you've got to Word on the Street.
100%. So my background, historically, I'm 30 years old. My background is probably a little bit different to most people who enter financial services and the mortgage industry. I started as a Royal Engineer in the British Army, so a completely different role, completely different job, very hands-on, mucky, in the mix, fixing engines on various different plant and machinery and equipment within the military. Left that because it didn't provide me with the I guess the ambition and the drive that I had internally. And ended up really falling into the financial services. Applied for a job at Together Money in the direct sales team, which at that point in time was a brand new business. The direct sales team within Together, of course, was a brand new distribution channel, shall we call it, that was set up to try and target more direct business for that brand. As a team, it went from no staff to probably 20 to maybe 30 with a sales support function, of which I was a senior sales executive, looking after and helping bring new salespeople into that team, helping them understand the model, helping them understand the ethos and the values that Together has. And lots of people in the industry will know that, and will know who they are as a business. They're a phenomenal entity. And that was, I guess, really where I owe my career. I was privileged to the sense that I was fortunate enough to spend a lot of time with the magnificent Mark Goldberg and also Henry Moser, who's the CEO.
They're smart cookies, aren't they? I've had so many people on that. The ones that are privileged enough to spend a lot of time with them, it really does make a difference to their career.
Mate, 100%. I think and this is not speaking badly about anybody else, but if you put me against somebody who at my entry level worked Together at the same time, because of the exposure that I was allowed to have and that I was exposed to with Mark and Henry and other various people across the business, Chris Bagley, Richie Watson, Jonathan Sally, there's so many people in there that have untold.
You're going to have missed someone out,
though. Apologies to everyone.
I'm going to messages.
But yeah, there's so many people in that business that you get exposed to that it does put you head and shoulders above the competition, as it were. So it was phenomenal for me. My trajectory of learning was very much like that. I was out of the office with Henry quite often. I was looking after some of Mark's clients. There was so much business that we did that had quirks, had complexities to it that enabled me to learn extremely quickly. So from there, was there for almost 5 years. Left on extremely good terms. Moved to MS Lending Group, where Michael Stratton again has built a phenomenal and significant business over the last 3 years. Michael taught me a hell of a lot. He was a previous underwriter at Together and had a mandate there, so learned a hell of a lot of information and knowledge from him in general, from underwriting, from the back
Funny
end.
enough, I was thinking of Michael when you said about exposure to the guys there, because he had a similar kind of trajectory due to that exposure, didn't he? Guys.
Agreed. And Michael was again somebody at Together similar to Yokai, Zach Zono, Yokai Zono, who were underwriters at the time, and were able to do something that we weren't. So I moved to MS Lending Group with Strats, and we in the first 12 months it was just the two of us, with Sam Bryce joining later on in the year. We lent 24 million quid in year one, which was significant for a team of two and then three. And then I guess it got to a point where I wanted to create something for myself. And my fiance, or now fiance, Jasmine, was somebody who was extremely important in my life. She'd already gone self-employed, working for ourselves, and we had a small construction and refurb business on the side, which was born out of COVID, and we had a small lettings team, and of course our passion was finance. So we decided that the time was right. We'd managed to put enough money away to give us 6 months just to go hell to leather and to give it a shot. And I guess here we are 2.5, 3 years later, surviving in a really, really good space. We've managed to build a team now of 5 people with the 2 of us included. We've got ambition and expectation that we will continue to grow and expand. And do you know what? More than anything, we're just having fun. And I think ultimately for me, that's what it's all about. Life's far too short to worry about.
I think you've got to, right? I think it's too
so
hard.
Important.
It's too hard if you're just looking at the end goal all the time. It's like the day to day is too tough. I'm not enjoying it.
You know, can I just say, I think that is such an important statement, because I mean, for me personally, 2019, actually just before COVID hit, I was in such a dark place. You know, I was suffering with depression. I checked myself into hospital. I was in such a deep state of depression. As it were, and I'm not worried or afraid to admit that now, because I understand that we have to sometimes go through these dark times to actually come out stronger on the other side, and talking about it makes it so much easier. A problem shared is a problem halved is something that I relate to quite a lot. But that statement of enjoying the journey is so important, because I was in my, you know, look, I'm only 30, so I'm not professing to be an old chap, but at the same time, a lot of my earlier career, even from being 14, 15 years old, I remember always thinking about the next thing. And I, you know, genuinely, I missed out on some of I've 3 children. My oldest is 8, 9 at the end of this month. And I feel as though I missed out on some of his early life because I was chasing something that doesn't exist. And
Do
so,
you think that's a trait of an entrepreneur as well? Because we're all wanting the next stage. You know, everyone wants the next big thing. I think you just have to remind yourself all the time, because it's so easy to be chasing, you know, because that's why you're driven, right? That's why you want to
100%.
have a business.
And I'd be lying to you if I sat here and said I'm not still chasing and I'm not still trying to better myself and be the best version of me. But I think at the same time, it's actually actively and consciously taking stock and sitting back and reflecting on, well, actually, we've had a really good last 3 months, really good last 6 months, last year, and appreciating what you actually have achieved. And also working on the things that haven't gone so well and saying, well, you know, why? What can we do to make sure that doesn't happen again? What can we do to make sure that the outcome of that is better? So yeah, I think it is the journey of an entrepreneur. I'm not sure if I ever refer to myself as that. I probably am. But I feel as though I'm just a chap from East Manchester, trying to be the best.
I always find
me.
entrepreneur a bit like if you call yourself it, it's awkward, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like I don't think of me, because I think I've got a recruitment company. Someone else had one before me. I didn't invent this.
No, agreed. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's always a bit like, but you're right. You've got different echelons to your business and stuff as well, haven't you?
No, agreed.
I don't know why I find it so cringy, but because it's not. I just think everyone uses it. Maybe use it too much, you know.
Yeah, and you know, especially in our industry, there's so many property gurus who are coining phrases left, right, and centre. And look, for me, an entrepreneur is somebody that creates something. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. All we're trying to do is the things that we're good at to the very best of our ability, and that's it. And hopefully that will help us stand out against competition. But you know, competition is again another strange word, because the only competition we have as a business is ourselves. We're only fighting against us.
But there's enough business out there for everyone, right? If we all looked at what each other were doing, and again, we'll touch on social media things because you guys do it really well. But if we only looked at social media as a barometer of how everyone's doing, we're doing shit. Everyone else is great. It's a tough one to use as a barometer. You've got to understand that people have to put themselves in the best light as well. I also don't mind people really going at it as well.
No, agreed.
I know you hear about it's a bit. The industry can be a little bit bitchy in regards to see what they're doing, see what they're doing. But actually, all power to you. You know, everyone's trying to earn a few quid, and if it's through touting yourself out as best you can, why not?
No, I agree completely. I think there's an element of social media that you only get better at doing it, and we found this. You only get better at it by doing it. You've got to start somewhere. And there's a saying that I use quite a lot in business in general and in life that Steve Burns, who's my business partner, it frustrates him sometimes, but I say do it nice or do it twice. So we very much as a business, as a management team or a senior leadership team within the business, the three of us, Steve, Jazz and myself, we're very pernickety. We like the devil in the detail, and the three of us sit around a table and debate quite a lot over the best way to do something. I always end up coming back to it and saying, yes, it's great to do things right first time, but ultimately when we're doing something that we don't actually know what the best way is, we've just got to do it. The word really is iteration. You only find out the best way to do something and the ways to improve it by actually doing it, getting down and deep in with it.
We have a similar in ours, so we say option one is better than option none. Because
100%.
It's so easy to like procrastinate, or I'm going to start using loads of cliches, but
me too. Well,
you know, when you're like, you're so paralysed because you want to get it right, but actually just get it done. It's a little bit like the social media stuff. First time I did a video, you re-record it and stuff, and now we just bung them out because like, if it's wrong, it's wrong. It'll resonate with someone. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You know what I mean? If someone doesn't like your stuff, if they're not your people, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, no, agreed. Talk about cliches. I've got loads. Like literally, my life is full of my talking quotes all day. One that I say to my kids all the time is you either win or learn. You never lose. So you know that's the way I try to live life, and everything's a lesson. Everything's a lesson. Social media is quite a funny one. There's lots of people bringing methods and different aspects of social media, different ways of doing business into our industry, the specialist mortgage and mortgage industry. Whether it's right or wrong, I'm not, I guess I'm not really the one to say. I just have to do what I think is right and be as joyful and have as much fun while still having a professional element to the work we do as well. Because
let's talk about that actually, because I know we touched on it, because there is still a professional element to social media, right? You've got to be authentic, haven't you? But at the same time, we're aiming at a certain clientele.
Correct.
How do you keep that happy medium between being yourselves, like it's still relaxed, you want people to work with you, but at the same time, because we're in that same boat, right? I'd love to say what I wanted whenever I wanted, but at the same time, I work in a financial services environment. So how do you combat that kind of clash?
I think we try not to sell. First and foremost, everything we do on social media isn't a direct sales pitch. It's always indirect. So I think Steve's put a post on LinkedIn this morning to say that everything we do is about education, and that doesn't necessarily mean us saying, well, we'll teach you how to do this, we'll teach you how to do that. We just try and give you the tools and tips that we use ourselves to be able to help you get what you want across. So from a you can't be all things to all men, right? So you're going to say things inevitably that upset some people and don't others. So don't try and party to all, and just stick to what you know. Do what you think is best for you and your business. And rightly or wrongly, those people who are watching and taking that content in, if they don't want to work with you, so be it.
I just think that's not the end of the world, right? If you're authentic. It saves me a job of someone going, I thought you're actually a bit of a knobhead, because they think, we already thought that anyway, because you saw me, you found me on social media, or what you said really resonated with me, and you go, cool, that's what it's there for. My stuff is aimed at you, so then it breaks down that initial barrier of should we be working together, hopefully.
Yeah, no, agreed. And I think for me, one of the key things that we strive to be is good people. And if somebody comes to us that could potentially give us 100 million quid with the business, if they're a bit of a dick, I'm really not bothered. I don't want to work with you, regardless of how much business you can push our way. If you're a dick, you're a dick, right? You're not going to change. So
do feel like you attract the right people as well, right? Because I think the same thing. I think this industry is full of kind, good people. I genuinely believe what we're doing is kind and good, and I think we are doing it for the right reasons. So I don't know if there's just loads of dickheads that aren't attracted to us, or whether people are just inherently like nice people. I don't think there's many that are out to get you or anything like that. I just unless there are, they just aren't attracted to us.
I think lots of people mistake incompetence for ignorance, and a lot of people think that others are actively against or trying to go against what they're saying or what they're doing, and I don't think it is that. I think people are living their own lives, and ultimately what I think somebody else thinks about me 99.999% of the time isn't accurate. So I feel like anything and everything that happens to us, we've just got to, it is what it is. And it is what it is. Is a very strong saying in our industry, especially when we're dealing with solicitors and surveyors.
Well, you can't
A lot
control
of the
everything,
time.
right? You can't control how long a lawyer takes to do something.
Yeah, no, no,
You
no.
can't
I
you know
wish
you
we
can't
could.
control the
God, I
downtime.
wish we
Yeah,
could.
yeah.
But yeah, no, no, you
But you know
can't.
what I mean? If you we talked about this morning in our meeting, funny enough, this morning. If we could control stuff by worrying about shit, you do it all the time. There's
Yeah,
nothing, there's nothing you can do about it. There's stuff that you can't control. You've got to let go. You've got to learn from everything, right? There's always the same thing. You don't want to shirk accountability,
yeah.
but control the controllables. That's what I mean. That was our big thing this morning because there's too many variables in our job, same as yours. Apart from your product doesn't run off mid way through. So ours is harder. But do you know what I mean? There's so much that we need to worry about. Let's forget all that stuff that we can't do anything about.
Yeah, no, 100%. And look, I think I've meant to say you can't control the past, you can't control the future. All you control is what's happening right now. So, and your own thoughts and your own mind. So, I mentioned earlier about the depression that I went through, and again, another lesson that I learned from that is there's far too many menial things that happen in this life that if you worried about every single one of them, you would never live. So it really is about controlling what is right in front of you, worrying about what you need to worry about. And for me, I don't really see there being anything in life that's worth worrying about. You live, you die, and it's quite a strange thing to say, but
I know.
that's just the way it
I
is.
honestly think
You
my
know?
wife would love it if I got more annoyed by things. But I'm like, it's business. That guy wasn't doing anything personal to me. It's just business.
Honestly, mate,
Like,
I said
why are
to
you
her,
getting annoyed?
forget business. Like I said, as you can see, I'm sat in the kitchen of the new house that we've just bought and are moving into. And there's about 35 different colours that this house is being painted in. And, Jazz is sat asking, what do you think about this? And I'm like, I know you really want me to, but I just don't care. Which she hates.
What's really funny
Yeah,
is
so
that
I'm not going to send her this link to watch this because she'll hate that I've said that.
well, my wife doesn't watch this anyway, and she's actually in the room next to me because we work together as well. I work with my other half. But we had the same thing the weekend. Like, what do you think of the panelling? I don't give a shit. There's so many more things
I've got
that
going
I
on.
need to turn my brain with. That isn't one of them. So I feel your pain with the with the decorating.
Honest to God.
Can I just talk? Obviously, I know you mentioned before, and you're open about it in regards to kind of the darker times. That because I think it's important because we do have a few people on the podcast that have talked about this, and also kind of medically and that kind of things. That things take a turn, right? In financial services, there's a lot of pressure on people. I don't want to go too much into it. What I want to know is how you came out the other side. Is there anything in particular you can think of that really would help people maybe slipping into that? Because we've been through a tough time, right? We've been through some challenges recently. If there's anyone feeling that kind of shit coming down on them, is there anything that you can kind of help with or that work for you?
The only thing, I mean, look, for me, love of friends and family was amazing. My children obviously were a key part in that, in me wanting to get through those times. But I mean, look, I'm wearing Andy's Man Club. It's okay to talk, and that is a really key message. Is talking is so important. I found it extremely helpful to sit and to talk to a counsellor, somebody that didn't know me, somebody that wasn't judging what I was saying. So for me, it was all about being able to, I guess, explain myself and express myself to somebody that didn't know me as a person, that wasn't going to go run away and tell somebody else the things that I said or the thoughts that I was having. So talking and counselling was for me the best medicine, I guess. I came up once I'd been and heart started to have counselling. I came off all of the medicine because it just wasn't necessary.
Really?
Yeah.
It's amazing how many people don't think it'll work. Talking to someone.
I was probably one of them people, mate. To be honest, I was so proud as a person that it was something that I was. I don't need to talk to anyone. I'm an Englishman. I don't need anyone to tell me what or why I'm feeling and thinking the way I am. It was just a case of I needed to do something, and that was presented to me as an option. I went to it very close-minded, and after that first session, I walked out thinking, wow.
If it makes you feel better.
So powerful, so powerful. And I think that's probably helped me in business as well, coming back to that, because I guess we're at a point now where we have so many conversations with people, and there's so many difficult conversations that you have to have in this job, especially when, as an example, we had a a client's valuation come back where we expected it to be 1.9 million quid, and it came back at 970. It was crazy, right? But that's another conversation.
It started off with the original valuation.
But that's a difficult conversation, right? But when you've been
Yeah.
through, I guess, the things that we as and I'm not, putting mental health into a male only
No.
box, but the largest killer of men, over 40 is suicide, right? So it is something significantly relevant to men, especially in this modern era. Being able to talk to somebody and being able to have difficult conversations, once you've been through something like that, there's not really anything worse. Once you've been on the edge of life as it was, there's not really any worse conversations you can have that bother you enough.
Just to put things in perspective, right? You've got
agreed.
The balance of life.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. And again, we're taking that into business because we come at life and we come at business with a very positive outlook, with a very ambitious outlook of what's the worst that can happen.
I do feel like that with a lot of things as well. I mean, you're a lot younger than me, but
not a lot.
I mean, I've got 4 kids and a big mortgage and stuff like that. But actually, I just think if you risk it all, like, what's the worst? It's not what is all. Like, I'm not risking my children's lives. I'm risking money. I can make more money if I need to. If everything fails tomorrow, on next Monday, I could start earning money again. Do you know what I mean? So I think that helps put stuff in perspective as well. Like, it's not this pressure that we put on ourselves. It's not the end of the world. We can do. If it doesn't work, we can do it again. If it works, amazing. Like, I think we, especially as black, again, it's not just a male thing. It's a business owner thing as well. But we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to make sure everything's perfect and make sure everything works. Even like my lights in the office that they've just switched off.
Not saying we mustn't have said anything interesting yet.
Yeah, they switch it off. But that is interesting, and hopefully that does resonate with people about the talking about it. And but you're never going to not have the pressure, right? Pressure's always there. It's just how you deal with it, I think, internally, and maybe put it in perspective.
Yeah, agreed. That's a good point. It's how you internalize it. So I actually think that I actually quite enjoy stress. I actually quite enjoy pressure. I think I do my best work when I'm under the cosh, and I've got multiple things happening at once. And we said before we actually started the call that I've not been well, but you can probably tell by the sound of my voice that I've not been well for a couple of weeks. And the fiance and parents are saying you need to slow down, you need to do this, and there's an element of truth to it. We do need to listen to our body at certain times, get enough sleep and hydrate. But I thrive. I actually really, really enjoy being back against the wall, under pressure, and coming out positively. I think as human beings, we actually only become stronger by testing ourselves, by challenging ourselves, by putting ourselves up against things, both mentally and physically, that would break most people. The only way we can become better people and better versions of ourselves, which is all we ever try to do in this life, is by doing things that are quite fucking difficult. Excuse my language, but that's.
But business is hard, right?
Business is
difficult.
If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. So
it's very difficult, right? Because you don't want to fall into that that macho element about business, like taking everything on your shoulders and that kind of thing. It's a happy medium. But I do think we're told so much at the moment about slowing down, and I know people are only looking out for you, right? They've only got your best interests at heart.
Yeah.
But business, especially this year, has been so fucking hard that you've got to really dig in. You've got to do extra hours. You've got to push. And I think it's too easy to go. There will be times in my career that I will not have to do as many hours as I do now. But now's not the time, right? We're coming out of a tough, challenging year for most people. It's the time to push on. Having said that, happy balance. You don't want to make yourself ill either. So it's finding that. Because I've also had people on here who have pushed and end up in hospital. So
yeah.
You don't want to be in that macho.
We both know Jamie P. And Lorenzo, and there's so many people that we both know.
Well, I think Jamie swears it was that spin class.
He does. I'm not so sure, but I'm not saying otherwise. No, I think there's an element of there's happy medium and everything in moderation is so important. But we all know our own bodies,
Yeah,
and I think for me, I'm youthful enough to continue at the pace that I currently am, and the
yeah,
trajectory that I'm currently on. We've got lots of ambitions, lots of things that we're trying to achieve as a business. Ultimately, for me, and I say this proudly, and I'll say this to anybody that I speak to, and I don't mind saying it publicly. The expectation is for me is to retire as young as I possibly can, to spend
is
time with friends,
that your goal? Is
family.
that the exit? Have you like looked at it as to what you want to be? Because I can't think of anything worse than retiring.
Yeah, look,
Um,
when I say the word retire, I don't mean sat on the couch watching, Only
yeah,
Fools
yeah,
and Horses 8 hours a day, but for me, life is about exploration. That is what like living is to explore. So I want to spend. Me and Jazz talk about it all the time. I want to travel the world. I want to go and do things with the
yeah,
kids. I want to be able to take friends and family and do things that you wouldn't get to explore in a usual 9 to 5. And I don't want to, and there's nothing wrong with this, by the way, but I don't want to be in a position where by the time I'm maybe 65, 70 years old, sat there thinking, I can't really do it now because I'm old. Um,
yeah.
so and if people that are happy and comfortable doing that, absolutely
Oh, yeah,
fine.
there's nothing wrong. No, there's
But
nothing wrong with
yeah,
either
yeah, yeah.
way of
But
doing it, right? It's what you want.
I enjoy being in uncomfortable positions, and
Yeah,
again, like I said earlier, I do my best work when I am in those positions, when I'm under pressure, when I've got more than I can probably take on. But yeah, so I think for me, the end goal or the goal is to retire as early as I can, and that
yeah,
just means having the ability and having the passive income to be able to do and explore different things. That might be exploring other business, it might be exploring other
yeah,
countries. Who knows? And I'm not really worried about what that looks like right now. All I'm
yeah.
focused on is growing a business that is two things: credible, first and foremost. Reputation is everything to me and to us. And secondly, sustainable. One where anybody who's in the business can go on holiday for 3-4 weeks at a time. Not just me, not just the leadership team. Anybody who works with us can go on
Yeah.
holiday for 3-4 weeks at a time. But the business keeps to operate, and it happens and
I
it
know.
just churns.
I mean, it is a lovely thing to do. Like, it's fucking hard to grow a business where you don't have to be in it. Is a real taxing, right? I speak to business owners day in day out. That's the number
Yeah.
one thing. I want to come out of the business because most of us are the rainmakers as well, right? We're the ones that get the phone to ring. We're the we can call ourselves worth CEO, managing director, whatever we like. We're the lead generators,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, we're everything.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you say that because you have to. Probably the mistake I've made from the beginning is that you have to have that end goal in mind as well, right? Because then you can build your business around it. Because most small businesses are built around the founder.
Yeah.
They're the face or they're the lead gen or whatever it is. So it's hopefully that resonates with people as well. That if that's genuinely your goal, you need to start it from the beginning because you get like not like our
100%.
business, but like most businesses, you end up being the bottleneck
Yeah, no,
of growth.
I completely agree. So I mean, look, from our social medias, it's prevalent that a lot of the stuff and a lot of the content we do is actually it's not built around Michael Street, it's not built around Jasmine O, it isn't built around Stephen Burns. Ultimately, we are the people that you see doing it because we are the faces of the business at present.
Yeah.
As the business grows, that will change and it will dilute and diversify. But a lot of the stuff that we do now, and that we have somebody that deals with our PR now because it's important day one that we get this right. So what we actually try and do in the instruction from me is everything is about word on the street, the brand. Forget the individuals. We are who we are, and we've got our own network and our own following, and we'll continue to
But
grow that.
do you think
But word on the
people know
street is the
you?
brand.
People do know you though.
I mean, yes, by default, just because I've been in the industry for nearly 10 years now. So I think there's an element of yes, people know me. But
And same as Steve as well, right?
yes, Steve's
He's
phenomenal.
he's a well-known person. So
Steve's
it's very
network
difficult to
is
build the
phenomenal.
business over your personal branding.
No, it is, but I think that I don't think it needs to be built over it. I think it stands alone on its separate to us as
Yeah.
individuals. People see Stephen Burns and say that's Stephen Burns. But what I'm now starting to find is when we are going to networking events and we're out and about meeting people, we're getting, I'll say my name, and the answer is, word on the street, and I'll say, and that's great, right? Because that's
Weird,
everything. That's everything to us.
That's my biggest concern is that people don't know the company that I work for.
No, I get
You know
it.
what I mean? Because it's just
No,
always in
100%.
us and the brand, and people buy from people, so you need that personal brand. But do
Of
you build
course.
up to the point where, I mean, my company can't go on a podcast every week and do it. So there is an element to having to get your mug out there.
No, agreed. Of course there is. Of course there is. But as long as everything as long as we're talking about the business as word on the street, that's the priority. So, we've set this up to be something much bigger than ourselves. And we want, again, I've said it already, we want to grow it to a business that is credible and sustainable. It only does that by having, bums on seats.
Yeah.
But I'm not interested in any stretch by having bums on seats just for the sake of it. Everybody that comes to work with us, and everybody comes to work with us, nobody works for us. Those people are ambitious and driven just as I am. And I'm not ever expecting anybody to have the same ambition and drive and work ethic as I have, because it's mine and it's our business.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
By the way, that's great that you've got that mentality. So you'll be surprised how many people when I'm recruiting for them who are like, I just want more of me. I'm like, well, they're unfortunately out setting up their own business.
No, 100%. No, exactly. And I think there is a lot to say about community ethos in this industry, because I think historically there's been so much us against them type mentality and attitude.
So easily, yeah.
And I'm very, very keen, myself, Jazz and Steve and Danielle and Karen who make up the team. It's part of our culture and ethos that if somebody comes to us for help, we'll help them regardless of who, what or why they are, whether they're a broker, whether they're a lender. If we've got an answer and they need it, we'll give it to them just because it's the right thing to do. So I actually think there's a lot of work to be done in this industry about building smaller communities or a large community of people willing just to help someone. Not because how much what are you paying me? What split of the proc are you paying me? We have brokers that we already work with, and I'm not mentioning any names, but we have brokers that we already work with that come to us because we're specialists in certain arenas that we'll give the answers to, and we'll tell them who to use, and we'll introduce them to lenders, and we'll introduce them to other people in the industry. So the brand is a huge thing, and I think as a business what we want to do is build a community of brokers who all benefit from the knowledge and the expertise that we have. Because we are specialist brokers, and we work with specialist lenders because 90% of the business we write has a quirk, has a complexity to it, and that's the market we're in. And there's a lot to be said, and I'm glad Stephen Burns isn't on the call, because he's got a bit of a beanie bonnet at the minute about people using the term specialist, both brokers and lenders, but not.
It's only the same as people used to use the phrase high net worth all the time. It's a new buzz where everyone decides they're specialist or high net worth.
Yeah, no,
and they're just banging
exactly
out with mortgages.
No, exactly that. Exactly that. So there's a lot to be said, but there's a lot to be said for community and actually a cohesive approach to broking and lending that we can learn from other industries.
Good. And so talk to me about this actually, because this is interesting, because obviously I know Burnsy joined you this year?
April, almost 7 months now. And
you are from different generations, for people that don't know you. What's the benefit of having that generational knowledge in the business? Really nice now, I'm not calling him old. What's the benefit of having that extra knowledge in the business? Because I speak to so many people, like I speak to 30-year-old business owners who want, I hear young, hungry all the time, and it's bullshit, because it's not about young or old, it's about how hungry or how driven you are. What's the benefit of having that in the business?
I'm smiling because Stephen Burns...
Because Steve's only 31.
It's a really, really tough life. Steve's one of a kind. He's a role model to me, and I genuinely love him so much as a person. Forget as a business partner, just as a person, he's just so wonderful to be around, and he lights up rooms that he walks into. I love Steve almost as much as I love Jazz, and it'll be disappointing that I said almost. There's so many different answers to this question, Marcus, in that he has elevated our business from there to there overnight, just because of who he is as a character, just because of the experience and the level of network that he has in this industry. He genuinely has, and we wouldn't be where we are without me, without Jazz, but without Steve as well on that same level. His experience in his arena. So let's talk again as business specific. So his level of experience of bridging lenders and development lenders is unmatched, categorically unmatched in this industry. He really, really is. You know, you've got people at the moment using Brickflow, which is a fantastic tool, for resi or standard, specialist bridging brokers who don't understand development and refurb and heavy refurb type stuff. They use that technology. I've got Stephen Burns who could write that technology tomorrow. There isn't a deal that we see, whether it's bridging, light, medium or heavy refurb or development, that within 10...
I should put him up against that. I want to test him against Brickflow.
I promise you.
300 lenders.
Every single time he will come out on top, I promise you, because
they're a client of mine. And they're great.
They're unbelievable. They're unbelievable.
I always say this about them. It's the worst it's ever going to be, which is fantastic. And also, for new people into the industry as well, like what a training tool. I was trying to, even like recruiting the other day, I was talking to someone and they said, I need this, this, this. I was like, you don't really. You need a comparison. you all you need is taking money out of my pocket. But if you have Brickflow, all you need to do is just then it gives the knowledge to people that haven't got it. But you're right. If you've got someone like Burnsy who's just knows the market.
He's a giant, mate, and he knows it. But more than that, the thing that, and again, I think Brickflow is a fantastic tool, and it's something that we'll use as we start to grow out, because there's only so many hours in a day, and once we've got to a point where we've got 10 brokers, we'll need AI and technology to benefit and to support us. But there's something that Brickflow can't do, and that's manage clients. And Steve's innate ability to manage people and to explain things in such a simple and easy to understand way, when talking about something that can have huge complexities to it, like development finance does, you can't buy that. So in terms of...
that's why we will never be overtaken by AI. Never. It will happen one day. But on the commercial side, there's so many variables. Like, you can't talk about deliverability on there. And like you say, you can't talk about the complexities of stuff, or look someone in the eye and tell them
the word is service, mate. The word is service, and both Steve and I have the same opinion on service, and that it has to be the best, and that's delivering good news and bad news or otherwise. Steve is very much of the opinion, and we as a business now follow Steve's trend. So when we have clients, we'll sit down and we'll meet with them and we'll have a coffee. We'll get to understand who they are as an individual, but also what their end goal is. So as a business, we're not interested. We have no interest whatsoever in being transactional. We want to be a business that actually works with people time and time and time again. Because as they grow, we grow. Dead simple. Again, not trying to reinvent the wheel here. We're just trying to do the things we're good at the very best we can. So when we do that, by default, we become, I guess, or the way I see it, as an external part of their business or their internal finance team. So that's developers, that's professional landlords, portfolio landlords. But more than that, we'll go out to the site visits, we'll go out to QS visits, we'll go out to valuations, we'll go and sit with the people who are making important decisions. And then ultimately, more important than anything, is our relationships with lenders. We have extremely strong relationships with lenders, the business development managers, the relationship managers, but also the underwriters. That's an important part of what we do, is building relationships with the underwriting teams and the head of underwriting. And then on top of that is the principals. Steve knows 90% of the people that own bridging lenders and development lenders in this market because of the length of time he's been doing it. So those relationships are so important to us as a business, because...
And you can't buy that.
You can't.
You can't fast forward. I always say that about my side of the business. I can't teach someone just 15 years of just shaking hands. Like, it's impossible to get in front. You know what I mean? That's one of the relationship management is the only thing that people cannot beat you at. They can't get in front of you at. They can't out-technology you at,
Yeah, no, 100%. It's impossible. I guess to answer the question directly, what does the difference in ages bring? His level of wealth of knowledge and experience in this industry is priceless. You can't buy it, like you've just said. But more importantly than not, I mean, he dresses better than me. He really does. He dresses as though he's younger than me. I
I know,
laugh.
he's impeccably dressed, yeah. Horrible to see.
He's a charmer. He's just a wonderful human being, mate.
He's
And
a nice guy.
I think people like working with him,
Yeah.
and that's something that we will never ever lose. We'll never lose that personability and that relationship side to our business. Because
Is that how you kind of connected, the fact that he's just a good person? You know what I mean? Is it just like a...
No, I think because the first time I ever called him, I was working for MS Lending Group, and I think the first time I ever called him, he told me to piss off because he doesn't deal with northern lenders. But I like that. I like that directness. So I called him twice a week. I called him twice a week every week until he gave me a deal. And I think he liked the tenaciousness in me to say, no, Mr. Burns, I'm not just going to roll over and let you take the mick out of me.
I don't northern lenders.
And then we sat down. We had a beer actually in Old Bar One on King Street in Manchester. Just because we got to know each other a little bit more. He liked me, I liked him. And I told him my vision for Word on the Street, and I think we just hit it off. And then look, he left his previous business. He left his previous business through reasons of his own, and it was just a perfect storm, I guess. It was the right time, it was the right people, and the right vision. No doubt, Steve Burns can be Steve Burns as a standalone broker, and he would make significant amounts of money and do significant amounts of business. What we can do together, though, is crazy. With my lender background and my lender experience and my experience of underwriting and process internally from lenders, and his level of experience with broking and being a good broker, together, I don't think there's anybody else in the industry that can say that has got the level of knowledge and experience on both sides of the fence as we have, and I say that confidently as well.
Yeah, and that's genuinely, if you've worked on both sides, it's so much easier to understand everything from process to decision making to the reasons why people do what they do. It's a huge win.
Yeah, agreed. And we love challenging. Our favourite part of the job is challenging underwriters and having open and honest conversations.
When underwriters see you can't, oh good, him again. Great. Looking forward to that conversation.
But do you know what it does? Do you know what? That's exactly it, right? Because what it does, it makes them make sure that the answers and the responses that they're sending are spot on.
Because you're getting a call.
Because 100%. If it's not, I'm calling you.
Everyone's there to challenge each other as well, right? You shouldn't be afraid of the challenge. It's the same. When we pick up business, we don't just order take, right? So the first conversation we have with people on the discovery call, I'll say why that doesn't make sense. Why that doesn't add up to your 5-year goal, or whatever it is. And some people get the hump of it, but you're like, that's the job of. Why would you pay me money just to take an order? Actually, it's about challenging someone and saying, 100%. What if we do this? What if we do that? Have you thought about this? I think that's and it's the same not just for your underwriters, it's the same for your clients as well, right?
No, agreed. Exactly that. And the first thing we do when we're starting to build a relationship with a new client, if they want us to understand, if they come to us with a deal, the actual deal at hand is parked for the first half an hour of a call or first half an hour of a meeting, because what I'm actually interested in is where are you trying to get to? What is it you're actually trying to achieve? So tell me, yes, you're buying this buy-to-let or you're buying this site, but in 10 years' time, what do you expect to have? Do you want a portfolio of assets? Do you want to build a development business that is managing construction sites at £5 million a time? What is it you're trying to get to? And then let us reverse engineer that and work backwards to be able to say, well, that's fine. This scheme right here, I know you've come to us. I know you're really excited. It's actually not the best thing for you to be doing.
It doesn't make sense to your fault. Your
exactly. So we work everything backwards, and we again it comes back to embedding ourselves into their business to provide them with the right, not advice because we're non-regulated, but the right information to be able to make informed and accurate, correct decisions that are actually going to elevate them and their business and take them the way they want to go, as opposed to being a transactional broker that is like, we'll make 2% out of this deal.
Put out this one, I
haven't got a clue how they're going to repay it.
That's the longevity stuff. That's the reason you'll be around. That's the reason you'll be around for a while. And that's a lot of reasons. If you look at the 15% of people that we lost in the market this year, you don't know any good ones that have gone. You don't know any people who. I don't offend anyone who's left, but if they've left, they're probably not listening to this. But it's true. The market's dropped by 15%. We've lost 15% of brokers. I can't tell you one that's gone. And I just think that's because the relationship guys I know, the good people, the kind people, the ones that actually are out grafting, have hopefully sailed through this tough bit that we've seen, and have come out the other side.
No, I agree. I agree. And you said two things in the last couple of sentences that I agree with. One is order takers. I think the industry has got a lot of people who are there just to sit in a job, 9 to 5, take a pay, and crack on with their lives, and so be it. That's their decision. Ultimately, if they get me on the phone, though, I will not accept it. And they will have to work for the paycheck that they're getting paid from the lender if they're asking us to do as a broker to send them business. You know, you're going to work for it, because I'm not just going to sit down and accept the decisions that you make because it's policy. I like challenging policy. I think a lot of it is outdated. I think a lot of it is archaical, and it's bank.
Without the challenging, policy never changes.
Yeah, exactly right. Just because the way you've done something doesn't mean it's the right way to do it.
Yeah.
That's probably something I learned from Together, to be fair. And then the second thing that you said was relationships. Relationships are so important. And our business as a small business is ultimately all about relationships. Forget business, forget writing business. If we don't have relationships with our clients, with our solicitors, with our partners, with our lenders, with surveyors, with QSs, if we don't have those relationships and have the ability to pick up the phone, we're wasting everybody's time.
Good. That's a good way to end it. And I did tell you I'd be half an hour, and it's been 45. I want to stop telling people that. I was going to say they're 40 minutes long.
But I could talk to you about this kind of stuff all day.
Mate, I love it as well. I love it. You're a genuine person. I think it comes across. I think I was looking forward to speaking to you anyway. But it's and it's clear when you talk, and it is genuine. And like I said, I don't think I'll get many knobheads on here. I think people that want to help the community by speaking on here are generally of a similar ilk to us. They're good. They're good people trying to spread the word and do the right thing. So I very much enjoy speaking to you. If people want to get a hold of you, Michael, what's the best way of doing it? I mean, obviously all your socials will be on our socials, but if people want to talk to you, whether that be talking about word on the street or just generally in regards to specialist lending, if they're looking at help with packaging and that kind of thing, what's the best way to get hold of you?
Pick up the phone and speak to us. We love nothing more than speaking to people. So pick up the phone, have a conversation with us, and we'll help and support you as much or as little as you need us to. Again, use us as a facet to your business. We're not interested in making a quick quid. It's all about longevity. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's building a credible and sustainable business.
Amazing. Thank you, mate. I really appreciate that. And thank you, everyone watching on YouTube and listening on Spotify. And I appreciate your time, Michael. I'll speak to you soon.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Cheers, mate.